Hello. How are we? Hi. I've just realized that at the bottom of the screen way down there, you can see like my feet in the picture. But I actually can't push it up any farther, so sorry about that. Hopefully that's all right. Anyways, what we're going to do today is the feather stitch and the single feather stitch. So we're going to start with the single feather stitch. And you'll also be happy to know that I've got, if the single feather is going to be over here, I've also got little, covers that I made for the videos. It's covered by the chat, so we can't really tell anyway if that makes you feel any better. Yeah, it does. I don't have bad feet, I promise. But like no feet for free, you know? But I've made little covers that go over the top of the Instagram Live profile things. So when you go to the videos, it will tell you what stitch we've done. I didn't put the strands on there because it looked a bit weird. So I thought I would just do it like that. And then in the description, it will tell you how many strands I've used, just in case we decide to change or, like it doesn't quite work out or whatever, you know what I mean? So it'll tell you the stitch that we're doing for that day. So I've updated the first 2 days so far, which were the couching and then the satin stitch. And then I've also made tonight's. And then tonight I'll go and make all the rest of them for the rest of the stitch along. So that will be really nice and easy to be done. So what you're going to do is we're going to use all 6 strands, okay, put a little knot at the end, and we're going to do the single feather stitch. So it's going to be kind of a short one tonight. Then you guys can get caught up if you need to with the satin stitch from yesterday. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up on one side and down on the other. Okay, you're going to leave your loop. This is kind of like a fly stitch, but it's a little bit different. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come up at the bottom of this V here, like that. See if I can make it a bit closer, maybe a bit clearer. All right. You can come up at the bottom of this V like this. Hooked my brick. Okay. And then down at the top of that next one. Okay, leave that loop and come up here. And then down here. This is what you're going to do for the entire time. So up like this. Yeah. And down like this. Like I said, guys, it's an easy one tonight. Easy peasy. Right? And it makes kind of like, I think it kind of looks like seaweed. It makes this kind of like seaweed looking thing. Like that. So what do you think? Very, very, very closely related to the fly stitch. Okay, now this one, I went out like this. Okay, skip the middle. Skip that middle one. Hi, Carrie. Got Anna. Okay, and then you're going to end like that. All right. Catching a few minutes before we head out the door. Oh, how fun. Oh, it's her birthday today, so if you could all wish her a happy birthday, but she'd love that. She's going out for dinner. And then we're going to come back up and do the same for the other one here. Again, it's all 6 strands because we want it to look quite thick. Because it's not really like a filling in stitch. It's not really like it's just kind of like a detail stitch, like a fly stitch or a fern stitch. It's really good for like foliage or like a little, what's the word? Like swaying, corally looking thing. Okay, I'm going to go down here like that, and then we're going to finish it the same way that we did the first one. Come up here at the Y like this. Okay, I'm going to straight stitch down into that V right here like that. All right, so that side's done. Finished. So that's what that looks like. I've actually used 1 shade darker than the orange that I used over here. Orange. I was going to say oranges, but then I remembered that I changed it to yellow at the last minute. So I've got this 1 shade darker of the orange to kind of like tie it together a little bit. And I actually really like talking about colors like this because I feel like sometimes when people pick their colors, they pick a bunch of random colors and then they don't use them ever anywhere else on their embroidery. And that's what makes it look a bit like rainbowy or like not cohesive. Okay. So when you're picking your colors, think about where else can I use this on my embroidery to kind of make it all like mesh and go together. Okay. Because it's nice to have a lot of colors, but it looks even nicer when you use like one color here for the outline over here, or one color that was on that side over on this side for like a little detail. It kind of like really makes it all look cohesive and go together. It makes it look a bit more planned, even if you're not planning it, you know? So I've got a really like dark purpley blue. I hope you can tell because it's really such a pretty color. It's got a bit of purple in it, even though it looks more royal blue on the screen. It does have a bit of purple in it. So I'm going to use this one. We're doing essentially the same thing over here, okay? Except this is called the feather stitch. So on the other side, it was the single feather stitch. This one is the feather stitch. So we're doing feather and single feather. Let's just do a little knot at the end because I didn't do that beforehand. Again, it's going to be a short one tonight, guys. I wanted some time for you guys to catch up, especially because that leaf is big, all right? And by adding the 2 colors, it does make a bit of extra work, okay? So what we're going to do here is we're going to start on one side, just like we did last time, okay? Hi there, question regarding 2 layers of fabric. Why is this done? Love the choice of watercolor background. Is that why you did just 1 layer on this one? Thank you so much. So I actually do have 2 layers on this one. A lot of people like using 2 layers because it gives your hoop fabric and stitches a bit more stability. I used to never ever do it. Just really quickly, after you go in the middle of this one, you're going to go straight over to the next one. So essentially you're doing like a little V, and then a V, and then a V, and then a V, and you're connecting them all. Okay? You're going to go down on the other side, and then come up in the middle of that V there. See? So what it's going to do is make a V here, and then a V here, and then you're going to come over to this side and make a V on this side. So some people think it gives a bit more like back to the 2 layers of fabric question, a bit more stability to your embroidery. So instead of having like just one kind of thin-ish layer, you've got 2 layers. It makes it so that you can't see through your fabric. So in case you want to travel a lot with your threads, I tend to be quite tidy on the back of my embroideries. But say you've got a dark color thread or just like straight up black. If you go from here to here, you might see that travel thread. So it makes it so you can jump around from place to place to place without kind of seeing that shadow on the front of your embroidery. Some people like to use 2 pieces of fabric because they use a different color fabric on the back. Okay? Some people use a high quality fabric on the front, and then the back is just like I said, a stabilizing piece. So they can use like a poplin even. That's like not even like a thick cotton. I think it's all personal choice. I used to absolutely hate it. And then I started doing it, and now I can't stop. So I think it just depends. On what you like. Sometimes when I paint the fabric, I don't use 2 pieces of fabric because like if it's painted, you don't really need to, you know? Like you can't see through it because I've painted it, but sometimes you still can. Like it just depends. It just depends on what you like. Me trying to figure out how I drew this. Which way does it go? This is what I get for not tracing it like perfectly. But really, there's no wrong way that you can do it. As long as you keep doing the V's like this, there's really not a wrong way that you can go. So if you think you're getting a bit lost, or like if you've quote unquote done it wrong, or if you've traced it wonky or something like that, don't fret. This is literally the way the stitch goes. It's just a V, a V, a V, a V, like this. So as long as you do kind of one to the right, one to the left, one to the right, one to the left, it really doesn't matter where they go, okay? It's all like an organic coral kind of material. And then to end it, we just end it with just the one long stick, because I thought that would make it look like, I feel like that's not very tight there on the edge. And that will happen sometimes, especially when you're working on the edge with 6 strands, okay? And what I'm talking about is your fabric along the edge here. No matter how tight you do your hoop, your fabric might still get loose on the edge. So you might have to just give it a little tug every once in a while, because what you don't want to do is have that puckering effect when you are doing your stitches, and you've pulled them too tight together, and then your fabric puckers, and then you can't ever get it straight again because you've stitched it. You've basically tacked it together, you know? So we're going to do our one like that, just to kind of, you know, finish that one. And then we're going to come up here on this side and kind of do this one and connect it to the other one, just like we did before. So up we go. You can either do a knot there and then start again, or you can just make your thread travel. So I've got a lot of this color, so I'm just going to make my thread travel. That's easier for me. Also, like I said, I've got 2 layers, so I don't need to worry about seeing this dark color from the front to the back. But you might be different, okay? So you need to make a choice for yourself. Yeah? And some people, I say the same thing about different stitches and stuff. You might just think, I don't like that stitch. Then don't do it. You don't have to do it. Or, you know, I've always done it this way. I mean, try a different way, obviously. Try, because, like, why wouldn't you try? But also, if you know you don't like it, then just don't do it like that, you know? Do it your own way. That's okay. Man, I don't know if it's this fabric because I've got 2 layers, or if it's because I'm stitching it at, like, a weird angle, or if it's because I've got 6 strands. But I'm having a hard time pulling this through today. a week. Also, I find sometimes when I'm not holding the hoop, it doesn't go through as nicely. So this here is the end. That's the end of our feather stitch. I'm going to finish it, obviously. I'm just trying to make sure this is nice and tight because I don't want this to get, I don't want mine to be messed up. And if you have them overlapping a little bit, you totally can. It's not a big deal. You can change colors with this. You can use a variegated thread. Variegated thread. You can add this in different places too. So I think it goes up like this and then down. You can add this stitch with maybe even 1 or 2 strands kind of in the background or in these little spaces this way. So keep this one in your back pocket just in case you want to use it for a different part of the stitch along, okay? And then to finish it, we're just going to put this one right in that same one there. Okay. Let's just make that nice and straight. What is going on down here? Behave. I need to get a screwdriver and tighten this hoop, I think. Okay, so let's zoom out. That's what we've got. How fun. How fun is that? You can do other things too, like add little French knots to the ends and stuff, but I'll talk about all of that on Details Day so you can kind of see what else that we can do. And plus it's nice to just like talk through your choices and what other things that you could do if you wanted to, okay? And it's kind of nice to know, like, you don't have to do it all, but sometimes when you're like talking it through with each other, you kind of think, oh my gosh, I could do that, or I could do this, or I didn't think about it like that, you know? So just to get really close, that is the feather stitch over there, okay? And then this one over here, if it will go, this one is the single feather stitch. Single feather stitch, single feather stitch, okay? So that, again, like I said, it's a short one today, all right? I'll love you and leave you, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow, okay? I hope you've enjoyed. Bye!